Hey guys, and welcome back to Divine FM. It's a little bittersweet because this is going to be the last episode of season 2, but the sweetness comes from the fact that it is a episode I'm very, very much so happy to be recording, and I feel so whole and grateful to be here, and I may cry, honestly, because I feel like I am at this place in my life that I, want to give back, and I want to be there for people as much as I've been there for myself. And I truly feel so connected to, I guess, the collective, to the people in my life that, bring me genuine love, genuine care, as well as obviously you guys, you specifically, who's listening to this. I feel so incredibly blessed to know that there's genuinely people out there who love listening to me and come back every week and, want to hear what I have to say. And I would love to think that you're getting a good little chunk of wisdom or good chunk of something positive out of my podcast, because that's, why I started it. And I just would love to think that the happiness and joy and abundance I feel from doing this can radiate onto you guys. You can feel my love and my energy through my art, through my creation, and that's all I could hope for. So this week I'm going to be talking about stepping into your power and letting love in. Wow, it makes me kind of sad to think that it's the last time I'm going to say stepping into your power, 222 on the timer. Because we truly have stepped into our power, guys. We not only have stepped in, we've been sitting in it. We've been simmering with love, with power, with energy, with abundance, with overflow, with grace, and the list goes on of the love that this world brings to us, this light that this world brings to us. But the only way that we were able to get here is to also face the dark, is to also face the raw edges of life and of ourselves and of others and how others make us feel, to truly be able to understand what depth this world provides and what our souls, provide. And I just feel very grateful to be at this point in my life. And I have absolutely no regrets. I have absolutely nothing that I would take back or change, because it led me to exactly where I am right now. And that's how the world is. That's how the world works. And I find that seeing life from a perspective, from a lens that is open and curious and curiouser and willing to experiment with the ebbs and flows that life provides, and not see it from a perspective of bitterness, of unwillingness to accept, because that just creates a life that's deemed unlivable, we deem that as unlivable whenever we are so miserable just by existing, when our life feels miserable, when everything around us feels miserable, and we fall into feelings of bitterness, feelings of anger, feelings of grief, feelings of resentment, of envy. The list goes on, all of us feel it. I feel it. I know in the future I'm going to continue to have to feel these feelings and face those raw edges and sit with them and cry with them and scream with them and, hopefully find a even deeper part of myself that I didn't even know was there through that experience. And that in all really excites me. The idea of excites me is honestly a very loose way of me saying that, because like it's not exciting obviously, like knowing that you're gonna have hard times in the future, that you're gonna experience grief, you're gonna experience anger or sadness or resentment or jealousy or etc., etc. And uncomfortableness is a big one too for me, because that's something I've been feeling a lot. But I've not always, but in the most recent, time of my life, I've really been trying to see obstacles as opportunities for growth. So it really helps, just seeing life from a lens that doesn't automatically reject what's happening, being able to work with the waves of life and how it crashes into us. It's out of our control, and all we can really do is, I guess if we wanted to control anything, it would be how we react, respond, and how we let it affect us, because that's really how our perspective of life is curated and shaped, is how we're being affected by it and how we perceive that, Anywho, enough of me rambling. I'm pretty sure I already said. This week is episode 34 of Divine FM. We're talking about stepping into your power and letting love in. Yeah, I definitely said that already. But I had to say it one more time because, man, oh man, we got here, guys. Season 2? Oh my gosh. Well, let me go into my highs and lows real quick. I say real quick lightly as well, because who knows. But I would say 100% my high was this past Friday. It was First Friday, and I went out with a very good friend of mine, and I just had the time of my life. I met a lot of their friends, and I saw so many people. I went to the Brick the first Friday, and then we went to the Strip, and I played pool in a bar for the first time. Never done that. Never been to the Strip. Well, we went to the gay Strip, so I guess still haven't technically been to the Strip in St. Mary's, but I was where I belong, so that's all that matters. And yeah, I just had such a fun time with my friend, and I am honestly overflowing with love for my friend and for the experience of, having someone in my life who can teach me more about myself that I haven't really experienced before. I feel like it's a pretty lonely experience, not really being understood, just kind of being experienced. I always say take a shot, but I don't even know if I want to say take a hit of the spliff either. I just said experience so many times, that's all I'm trying to say. I have a sticky note on the dash of my car that says, I'm not meant to be understood, I'm meant to be experienced. And I've always felt like that was pretty spot on to how my existence felt. But, I've always kept the hope in my heart that I would meet someone, or, just in general, I would, find a tribe that understood me to the same extent that I have understood myself, because it takes a lot of shadow work, a lot of, pain and quote-unquote suffering to be able to feel such a deep level of happiness and a deep level of joy and love for yourself, and to be able to let yourself be who you are, and with all the rough edges, all the raw edges being exposed, and still, being like happy to be there. It's taking practice, but I I have chills just while I'm talking about this. I just feel so, so, so grateful and lucky to have such wonderful people in my life, and I feel so loved, and I I just had a really good time. A lot of firsts for me. Oh, I also had like I ate food from like a street vendor like downtown in like the middle of the night for the first time too. That was, oh my gosh. I don't know if this sounds stupid, but it's an experience I've always wanted to have, is like going out and just like eating like a hot dog or eating any sort of food like that, just local people come and they make food for people who are like drunk and having fun and they want to eat. Like that's exactly what they're there. And I've found that I'm a little bit square. It's very easy for me to fall into a routine, and my routine lately has genuinely been just, working hard and going to the gym and spending time with my family and reading and studying, and every now and then, prioritizing the people in my life that I feel I love and I want to see them, and having them in my life is genuine a priority. Besides that, I definitely have never prioritized going out or just like socializing in that way, but that makes me feel like I'm closing myself off, to a part of my life and a part of me that wants to experience that. And, I didn't even have to ask, and I received exactly the experience that I low-key didn't even know I was yearning for. And so, yeah, whenever you need nothing, that's whenever life truly gives you everything. And it always happens so unexpectedly that I just feel very lucky to be in this point of my life where I'm very patient with myself, or at least I try to be. And I try to be very graceful when it comes to how I'm treating others. And, that does fall into me worrying about how I'm being perceived as well, because I try to be a good person, but I'm also trying not to be a people pleaser. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But anyways, I'm rambling. I'm so, so happy. I'm so overfilled with abundance, with joy, with love, with light. And I feel like that overflow has really been falling into the people around me, and they're really happy, and it just makes me so happy, honestly. I feel like I've had a smile on my face for like so many days straight, and it wasn't with anything really outside of myself. It's really just me seeing my life and how it's come together in such a come together right now for me. Anyways, how life is coming together has just been so effortless and flawless and out of my control. And yeah, it's pretty fucking slay. I really, really love that for me and for everyone around me. And I can only hope that you listening also are in a point in your life where you're feeling abundant and you're feeling happy and you're feeling appreciated and loved and understood by the people around you. It's truly a feeling like no other, seeing the gem in other people that you see in yourself is not as often of an experience as I'd like to have, but now that I have experienced it after such a long waiting period of, knowing that it's there and just kind of waiting for it to come to me, now that I'm seeing it, unfold so beautifully and so naturally into my life, I can't help but be amazed by, the small joys in life even more. And, I feel just more humbled and more grateful for everything that I have and all the people in my life, and for, the sun shining, and for the moon coming out, and for the next day coming, and for bees and butterflies and dragonflies and ladybugs and all of my pets. And, I could talk for hours about all of the things in the world that are accumulating this love that I feel. I just I'm feeling it all, and I let love in, and I am so glad that I did, because, you know, it wait, I never even said my low. Fuck it, I'm just gonna skip the low because I don't even have one. It's like like, I feel like for so many weeks now I've been trying to make up something that's not make up something, because I'm not like lying, but, you know, just think of something that was a little bit more negative in my life and considering that my low. But how can I say that it's my low whenever it contributes to my high, you know? Because I was just fixing to go into the fact that it's a blessing to be in this state of mind, but it's a double-edged sword. It's also a curse, you know? I can only feel this level of joy, this level of love for myself and for others, because I've also felt this same level of despair, this same level of resentment, this same level of hate and jealousy and anger and self-pity. Like, there's so much shadow work behind all of the light that, you know, people have. I feel like the happiest and the nicest people in the world are always the people that, not always, but they usually have something that, you know, hardened them a bit and allowed them to see themselves to a deeper extent, and therefore they're able to see others in that same extent, and therefore be more forgiving, be more humble, you know, being more compassionate towards others, you know? I feel as though life always will give you exactly what you're giving it, you know? And so, you know, it's like the same concept of life being a mirror. So if we're, you know, taking good care of ourselves, and we're, you know, not cutting corners, and we're, you know, quote unquote locking in, you know, doing the things that aren't as fun, at least theoretically, aren't as stimulating, you know, aren't as comfortable, but our soul always knows what's right for us. And as long as, you know, we're following that feeling, that path, our intuition, our heart, that internal guidance, we'll always find our way to the light. But we have to, you know, we have to fight a few demons on the way there, and we're gonna have to fight a few demons on the way back. And, you know, it's a continuous cycle of ebbing and flowing, and being able to get out of those dark moments simply by remembering that there's small tidbits of love and light and creation everywhere you go. You just, you know, it's all up to our perception. So if we're feeling super down on ourselves, and we are angry with our lives, and we feel as though it's unfair, and we feel envious of others, etc., it's going to be really hard to self-soothe, to get yourself out of a state of despair, a state of self-pity, you know, a state of jealousy or rage or anger or whatever you're feeling, if, you know, you don't even have anything to want to be better, to want to feel better, you know? I feel as though we're here on this planet. We were birthed, and we're at this exact place at this exact time, wherever you're listening to this, whatever time and space you're listening to this. We're here for a reason. And so you deserve to enjoy your time here, you know, regardless if you believe in heaven and hell, you believe in reincarnation, you don't believe in anything. What you can believe is exactly what you see. And being present is, you know, a religion in itself. Because how can you, you know, how can we understand life if we can't understand what's going on the inside? You know, what's going on inside of our heart and our souls and our minds. I wanted to read, I don't know exactly how long it's going to be. One second, I'm going to move my mic, so I don't know if that affected the recording or anything, like the sound quality. But I just finished this book that my friend gave me. It's called Love and Awakening by John Welwood. I believe I spoke about this book a couple of episodes ago. I read, oh, actually, I it was on the shadow work episode. Yeah, I definitely did. But I just finished it today, and it made me really want to cry. And you know what, before I read it, actually, I'm gonna talk about something real quick since it's on my mind. Letting love in is scary, and it's daunting, and it's uncomfortable as hell. Like, oh my gosh. It feels like it's a continuous state of discomfort, but it's not a good discomfort, but it's a discomfort with a tinge of faith, a tinge of hope connected to it. And that like little bit of light goes such a long way whenever you're feeling such deep levels of, whatever uncomfortable feeling it is that you're feeling. And I think it's a really hard truth to be able to accept that we will never be able to feel that deep connection to others, that deep connection to whatever it is, our partner, our siblings, our parents, ourselves, if we are relying on something outside of ourselves to make us feel grounded and to make us feel whole. I am really, really glad that I'm like learning about all of this while I'm single and no longer in a relationship, because I was in a pretty unhealthy state of mind. I have been my whole I guess existence of dating, and being a sentient, I guess I use that word sentient too much because it's really not applicable. More like being an early adult and now understanding myself to a much more in-depth version, I suppose. It makes it a lot easier for me to accept and listen to these hard truths, because I know if I was in a relationship, I would just want to deny this, because the type of relationships that I had with others was just a mirror of the type of relationship I had with myself. And that was, relying on something outside of myself to fill the holes in me that I felt were inadequate and or I couldn't fulfill myself, And everyone, says that you can't love another person to a longer, to a bigger extent, to a further extent than you're able to love yourself. But I feel like that doesn't really explain it very well. It's more like the level that we have given love, tenderness, care to ourselves. That is exactly what we will expect from others. But if we lack in that, we're going to receive that same kind of love because it feels comfortable to us, but we're going to still feel deep levels of resentment and pain and anger towards those other people because we never even fix them internally. Does that make sense? So for example, if you and your partner fight about, I don't know, just feeling misunderstood, feeling disconnected emotionally, intimately, and you feel as though one person is expecting too much and the other person feels as though the other one's expecting too much, and they both feel inadequate and they both just feel very misunderstood, and it's, a repetitive cycle. I feel like that's just a really good explanation of how a lot of people are feeling internally, how mostly, I don't want to say mostly men, but it's just, in human nature that men typically shy away from intimate feelings, from their emotional needs, because growing up, I feel it's pretty obvious, and I've read quite a lot about this, so I don't want to assume, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems pretty evident that men are raised to, swallow their feelings, to swallow their emotions, because having emotions and feelings makes them inadequate, it emasculates them, and I think that's a really common misconception, because if anything, men showing their raw edges and their raw emotions, or just anyone in general, it doesn't have to be men, but just in general, being able to show those parts of yourself that you're scared of and you feel you haven't healed and you're confused by them, having a genuine curiosity about that and a genuine desire to learn about that shows so much strength. And it shows, I feel like I would fall in love with someone so much more if I was able to, if they let me in, if they let me be there for them and still love them regardless of how I don't know if this is making sense. Not regardless of how it makes them feel, but like if someone trusts you enough to show you parts of them that they feel as though are not their best parts of themselves, or, not the things that they're most proud of, yet they will still stand tall and show that to you because you have shown that you genuinely love them and you genuinely care about them, and that inadequacy, quote unquote, that they feel they have is really just a deeper part of themselves that they haven't quite understood yet. And again, that curiosity is hot. Like, that curiosity is true intelligence, true wisdom, and true strength. Because if you can stand tall in your confidence, but you can also stand tall in weakness, nothing can penetrate you. Nothing can stop you from achieving the level of yourself, the level of love, the level of compassion, of confidence, of courage, If you can truly give yourself and truly fulfill all of your internal needs to the point where you genuinely do not seek outside relationships or seek out things outside of yourself in general to fill something inside of yourself, that's just, it's a hard place to be at, and it's not a constant place you're ever going to be, because life is not ever constant, but that is a really good feeling to have, and it's hard to get there. Every time I think about it, it kind of like makes me want to cry, because I kind of genuinely have to mourn. Oh, look, it's 10:10. I genuinely have to mourn the idea of the type of relationship I was always seeking, that I wanted my whole life, because I wanted to be, I guess, taken care of. It feels embarrassing to say that, because I don't want to be taken care of per se. It's more as though I guess it was before I always wanted to be taken care of. It's crazy because I don't feel that way anymore. If anything, I see love as someone who can teach me, but not actually teaching me as in they're like telling me what to do. It's more being with someone who is so truly themselves that they're mirroring to me how I can also be better, not only for them, but for myself. And if they inspire me, and if they, push me to, touch those raw edges and to uncover them. And a person like me, who I feel as though I'm a pretty closed off person myself, but I have been, very lucky to have found someone who has actually, not just someone, I have, my family members, and, I just know it's not easy to, think about and talk about and feel those triggering feelings and memories and emotions that are like a continuous cycle in your life, regardless of how often they come up. It's like, I don't remember exactly what the quote says, but basically the concept of like a painkiller will only solve a problem for so long, but you'll have side effects, or you'll have those feelings will always come back up. It only is a temporary a temporary relief. And I think covering up our emotions, I know that covering up our emotions and masking them and, shying away from them, our shadows and our triggering emotions, our raw edges, the more that we run away from them, the more they want to be seen, I always just try to think about myself and my, elementary school age, I guess, self. I remember a lot of, I can think back and put myself in that same girl's lens of life, and I still feel like I'm her sometimes. And if I can treat life and treat myself the way that I theoretically would be treating my, 8-year-old, 11-year-old self, life has changed a lot for me. And that, has just reflected back to me because I put in the work to genuinely want to be here, It's not always fun, I have to face hard truths and accept them and mourn the things in my life that I know are no longer good for me or have not ever been good for me, but I know I no longer can partake in. And in that, I have learned so much about myself, and so I've learned the concept of what it is to be alive and really, really live to a much more deep extent. And it's kind of hard to come back. It's kind of hard to ever see life at a tip of the iceberg kind of viewpoint anymore. It's pretty impossible. I deleted my social media, and I am sick at the idea of ever going back. Of I have 2 devices because I use one for content and I use the other one just for my personal usage. And I still had Instagram downloaded on my other device because I have a business Instagram as well. And the idea of even having the Instagram app downloaded and getting notifications and stuff, and even that made me really uncomfortable because it felt as though that's a part of me that I don't feel connected to right now. I feel as though I have to mask a lot with, I guess, the people that make me feel, I don't know if, is it adequate the word, or is it just, it's, even I sometimes can't pinpoint the negative energy feelings I get from, and it's not even always have to be specific people. It can just be, a place in your life where you feel as though you don't resonate with anymore, but you're still connected to it. It's a sad feeling to know that part of your life, that version of yourself has died, has, gone through the darkness and found their way to a perhaps lighter perspective, a lighter version of experience. But I have to sit with myself and remember that this is the only time I'll be with this version of myself, and I need to sit with her and appreciate her and really get to know her at the farthest depth that I can and that I feel as though I need to. And taking everything that happens to me now as a learning experience and responding to it in the most loving way that I can. And loving doesn't always mean nice, Loving can mean setting boundaries. It can mean saying no. It can mean, being really uncomfortable but telling someone how you feel. Or the opposite, being really uncomfortable and taking what someone tells you, like how they feel. And maybe it's not something that you wanted to hear, but being able to hear that and still know that there's love there, and to still feel love, and to still know that the words that you're receiving aren't, they don't have to be negative if you don't take it that way, It's very possible to, if you trust the people who are around you and you trust what they say, it's really easy to skew things into a negative perspective if, our egos are listening, which a lot of the time they are, if you're not trying to keep yourself in check, which sometimes I really struggle with that. I look back to things that I've said, and to especially listening to things that I've said and knowing that I don't know if I actually meant it that way, or I don't know if I liked what I said right there. Did I actually mean that, every day I'm still learning more about myself and about my ego, and why my ego wants to come off a certain way, and how that differs from how my heart and soul truly want to be perceived, and truly what they really want to say. Sometimes I understand not knowing how to put those feelings into words, how to put those thoughts and emotions into words, into action, in a graceful, loving manner. It's a difficult task, and takes a lot of discipline and perseverance and willingness to change, and to be a loving person, not only for yourself but for the people around you. I don't even know how long I've been talking. I said I was gonna read something from that book, Love and Awakening by John Wellwood, and I never did, but I'll read it now. Are you ready? This little, it's how many pages is it? 1, 2, it's not very long. Learning to live with a broken heart. Loving another deeply helps us appreciate the power and beauty of being human, the grace of the body, the clarity of awareness, the subtlety of feeling, and the richness of presence available to us. Yet when we turn from this inner vision of the essential goodness at the core of our nature to outer reality, the ragged state of the world and our fellow beings, it breaks our heart right on the spot. Perhaps our first impulse is to turn away, close our eyes to the magnitude of suffering all around, and withdraw into our cocoon, turning to relationship as an island of refuge from a world gone mad. This is understandable. We feel overwhelmed. But there is also another impulse, which we may have felt when we were young and our heart first registered the shock of human suffering. We would like to save the world. We would like to do something to make everything right, to clean up the environment, to overcome ignorance and injustice, or to help people tormented by poverty or despair. If we stay with this impulse for a moment, before dismissing it as hopelessly romantic or idealistic, we recognize it as the heart's pure response to the pain of this world. Yet it soon becomes clear that we cannot readily save anyone, much less ourselves, from this pain. If we are to remain open to life and capable of engaging with our world rather than succumbing to depression or cynicism, we must learn how to live with a broken heart. It is only through letting our heart break that we discover something unexpected. The heart cannot actually break. It can only break open. What breaks when we are touched by life's pain is the contraction around our heart that we have been carrying for so long. When we feel both our love for this world and the pain of this world together at the same time, the heart breaks out of its shell. Then the heart's true character is revealed, as an openness, an acute sensitivity where we feel the world inside us and are not separate from it. This is like removing a bandage and exposing our flesh to the air. There is no way to avoid this rawness except by living in a state of contraction. To live with a broken open heart is to experience life full strength. I guess I'll just actually read that little part because that's really what I have chills. That's really what, made me a little upset. Not upset, just made me a little teary-eyed, and literally seeing that it's not a chapter, I guess, it's just like a little, I don't remember the exact term of whenever you have like many chapters within a chapter. But learning to live with the broken heart is so freaking true, and it's so relatable, and I never looked at it that way until I read that page, and that's only 5 pages from the last page of the book, so I had to really read this whole thing to to get to the juice. But yeah, I'm sorry if this podcast episode is a little heavier. I don't feel as though it's heavy. I think maybe it just might contain a few hard truths that people may not, react to in a positive way. Not that I'm intentionally trying to tell you these things too. Now I'm like being overtaken by the yawns. I'm not gonna yawn or refuse because I do not want to be that person. But oh my goodness, I forgot what I was saying. Gosh darn it. I guess it wasn't that. I mean, it probably was important. Actually, let me think back. Oh, I think this is what I was talking about. Living with the broken, or just seeing life as as it ebbs and flows. We can only, what did it say? I'm like blanking now. Oh my gosh, I'm dead. It is only through letting our heart break that we discover something unexpected. The heart cannot actually break. It can only break open. Yeah. That's, it's hard. It's not fun. It's kind of annoying, literally, to have to accept that the type of love that we are shown, we are taught, this romanticized mommy and daddy kind of dynamic, like we're filling up each other's cup, but not in the way of we're both in overflow. We both have holes in our cups, and we just have to keep continuously emptying out and pouring more, emptying out, pouring more, because it's out of our control, and we feel out of control of ourselves and of our internal worlds. I feel like it's such a common dynamic within interpersonal relationships, as well as within ourselves, within our personal internal lives. But yeah, just being able to accept that and move forward with any future relationships with, whether or not it's romantic or not, is going to be tricky, because I no longer am seeking a partner that can fix me, or that can provide for me, or that can do anything for me that I can already do for myself. If anything, what I seek for in a partner is someone who can, better me and help me grow, and, be a mirror for me, truly, and that I would be the same for them. I feel like if I'm the way that I am, there's definitely a person out there who would want to experience life and experience a relationship in the same way. And, I believe life is very synchronistic, and everything happens very unexpectedly, but right whenever it's supposed to be. So I have full faith that love is here. Letting love in is one of the hardest things you can do, but it's also one of the best things you can do for yourself and for others, because you're here for a reason, and I'm here for a reason. And if we can love ourselves so much to the point where we don't need anyone to do something for us to make us feel whole, or something outside of us to make us feel whole, we truly have stepped into our power, and we truly are whole. We truly are one with source, with that feeling that, with your soul. If you can touch those raw edges and make friends with them and love them and figure out why they're there and just follow the path of the maze and put the puzzle pieces back together again. And then we're losing some, and then eventually we go on a side quest to find those missing puzzle pieces, only just to find ourselves back to that main puzzle that feels in some way inadequate, If we can see our interpersonal lives like that, I think it will be a lot simpler, because, people love rules. I myself, I love a little rule. I love a little routine. So I love to have some sort of thing like that to help remind me of how simple it really is to come back to myself and to let love in, because I know I deserve it, and you deserve it, and you're here for a reason. And as hard as life will feel, you will receive the same level of light in return, just if you let yourself, Today could be the day that you don't have to change anything about your life. You don't have to change literally nothing at all. Just wherever you're sitting, wherever you're standing, wherever you're laying. If you can maybe just close your eyes and maybe silence your thoughts and take a little breath. And tell yourself how much you love yourself and how much you deserve love and light and grace and kindness and strength and discipline. I am worthy. I am abundant. I am gratuitous. I am loving. I am light. I am a force to be reckoned with. I am unstoppable force of nature. I am successful. I am committed. I am confident. I am powerful. I am getting better and better every day. All I need is within me right now. I do not engage with people who try to penetrate my mind with unhelpful thoughts and ideas, and I walk away when a person or a situation isn't healthy for me. Note to self: I'm going to make you so proud. As it is. I wanted to read a quick little tarot card for you guys. I think I'm just going to do a 1-card pull, because I don't want to make this episode too long. But I feel really connected to spirit and to source and to myself and to, creation, and maybe we can have a little mini tarot card reading at the very end if you guys made it. Let's see. Is there anything that you need to hear right now, spirit? Got Knight of Pentacles. I'm pretty sure I pulled the Knight of Pentacles last week, which is funny. Okay. You know exactly what you want, but there's hard work ahead to make it yours. Plan. Set realistic goals. Success is yours with patience and persistence. I love that. I feel like, let me see if there's, perhaps anything else Spirit wants to tell us. That is the card that I got last week, and I absolutely love that. It's obviously very much so on topic. All right, we have a keeper. Ivy. Okay, my cards are gonna go crazy. Final, crazy for feeling so lonely. Is that the lyrics? Oh my gosh. Got the Tower in reverse. I keep opening to the Lovers. Okay, Spirit, I didn't pull the Lovers, so stop teasing me. It's quite cute, but it's not the card that I'm looking for now, is it? You may be trying to avoid changes that are inevitable. There's no way to do this, but fear not. Tearing down and rebuilding is necessary, and things will work out in the end. You will land on your feet. The Tower represents sudden and unexpected change, chaos and upheaval. Everything may be thrown into question. The Tower is the foundation you have built carefully over time. The lightning strike seen through the window tells us that this unexpected change comes from a source far greater than ourselves. You feel you have no power or control. Falling down, you are humbled. But what if you leap? I'm going to pull one more. I honestly couldn't tell you what this card is. Like, I literally couldn't tell you. I'll have to take a look-see in my little book. Not me being an amateur tarot reader at this point. Oh, I found it. Okay. 9 of Pentacles. What the? We have the Knight of Pentacles, and we have the 9 of Pentacles. It's funny. And also, I looked at the bottom of the deck and we had the Magician, so, you know, what can you do? Peace and satisfaction abound. Is it possible you have everything you've ever dreamed of? The way that I just read an affirmation to myself earlier that says, what would it feel like to have everything I want and more? What would it feel like to be the version of myself I want to be? And I literally looked at myself in the mirror and I said, here, now. Like, literally here. I'm here now. Just craziness, you know. Back to the card. Your diligence means your rewards are great and many. Okay, for reference, this tarot card has a picture of a cat sitting on the edge of a dresser. And it looks as though there's a bowl of treats in front of it. And it's playing with a little bird that's in a cage. That's like hanging from the ceiling. Okay. Peace and satisfaction abound. Is it possible you have everything you've ever dreamed of? Your diligence means your rewards are great and many. Treats at your feet, a fine feathered friend just a swipe away. You're right to feel secure and to take pride in your accomplishments. All your discipline is bringing you even greater success than you dare hope. Interesting. So I think these cards are definitely saying to face these obstacles with grace and with love and with sincerity, because we're here. We have stepped into our power. We have the ability to get through any obstacle that we face. And as hard and as sad and as heavy as those dark times may feel, life is constantly ebbing and flowing, and we're bound to feel the light again. Sorry, I'm like back to holding back my yawns. Oh, I did it. I'm sorry. Am I? I feel relieved. I needed to yawn. Okay. Last but not least, the magician. The magician straddles two worlds, one paw reaching skyward, two more on the ground, signifying the work of creativity. This is the magic of everyday invention. The circular snake reminds us that this is an infinite process in which matter is never truly created nor destroyed, just transformed. The playthings represent the four elements and the four tarot suits, all the material needed to make magic or art. Add wisdom and purity represented by the red roses and white lilies, and the spell is cast. Add wisdom and purity, and the spell is cast. There's also an infinity symbol on this card, and I've been resonating a lot with infinity symbols lately. You know, I was just thinking of the After series, the Harry Styles fanfiction, if anyone's heard of it. I'm pretty sure like everyone's heard of it. But I read that shit whenever it was like being written chapter by chapter when I was a much too young child to be reading that shit. But every time I see the infinity symbol, I literally think of the little, like, you know, the direction. What is it? The 1D-inator or whatever the hell her Wattpad username was. It was, like, written on the book. Like, the front page of the book, you know? I don't know how to... It was just basically, like, her Wattpad username. And then it had this infinity sign that had hearts, like the holes, the ovals, I guess, that are on the two sides of the infinity sign are hearts, like on their sides, and it's really cute. And that was a tattoo that Hardin had in the book, and don't know why I'm telling you that, but if you know, you know, I suppose. But yeah, I'm really excited, guys. I'm really excited for you. I'm excited for me. I'm excited for life in general. And I feel so blessed and grateful and humbled to be here. And yes, as it is, I wanted to mention one more thing, if anyone's made it all the way to the end. I am only going to be taking... I don't even know if I'm going to take a break, honestly. I could easily just post episode 35 and episode 1, I guess, of season 3 next weekend, if I really truly wanted to. Or I could wait, but I really don't think I will, because I'm not going to say I don't think I will, because who knows? Life happens, and I could easily need to take a break. So just look out. Maybe put my post notifications on for my podcast, or you can follow my YouTube channel. My username on there is divagirl333, and I'm not on Instagram, but if you want to follow my business Instagram, I'm not very active right now, but it's Starseed Treasures. And I've been working on my website for a while now. It's still under construction, and it probably still will be for quite a while. But what I really wanted to say is that starting next season, I may be monetized. And with that comes AdSense. And I just want to let you guys know that my content is going to stay the same. If anything, it's going to get better. I don't know what my season is going to entail after stepping into your power, but we've let love in, and so perhaps it'll be letting love in, and blank. or I could be... I couldn't tell you. Honestly, I don't know. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that next season, my episodes, I believe, are going to have ads. Perhaps at the beginning. It's either the beginning, the middle, or the end, or maybe all three. I'm not really sure about the details yet, but I'm going to try my absolute hardest. I'm going to try, I'm not even going to try, I will put in all of the effort that I can to make sure that my podcast, quality stays the same, and any ads that are being sent to you guys that you're hearing, I'd really, really, really hope so, and please send me feedback if it's not, but I'm in control of the ads, the types of ads that are going to be placed, and the genre, and all of that, and when it will be placed, I believe as well, I will have control over, and I would really appreciate you guys, honestly, if you sent a little feedback after the next couple of episodes, or just the next one, if/when it contains ads, because I really don't want to turn you guys off on my content, but I've also, been working really hard, and, opportunities are arising for me, and I'm gonna humbly accept them, because I know I deserve it. And I just wanted to remind you that I'm here because I truly want to be a source of light and be a source of love and inspiration and motivation. And even though sometimes I can't always be that person for myself, I know that I have the ability to, I guess. Because having all these tools in my tool belt doesn't mean I'm always capable, but I also know that I have a responsibility as a human being on this earth to be a good person, and to be loving, and to be patient, and to be kind. And I feel as though my podcast is something that I'd like to think brings people joy and brings people hope and love, and makes you smile, and makes you feel a little bit more understood, perhaps. Maybe make you feel a little bit more validated, and that's all I could want. That's all I could ask for, So yeah, if you're still here, thank you for listening. I just wanted to add that at the end because, I know only so many people watch every week, but I just wanted to say hello to my viewers in the UK and in Canada. I didn't know you were there, but now I do. And I just am very thankful that you're here, and grateful that you're here, and I would love to connect more with you guys and with you who's listening. It feels surreal to know that I'm talking to people on so many, not even in the UK and Canada, those are just places out of the United States that I know that people are listening, but just everywhere, from Ohio, from let me think, the other states. There was just so many. I have such horrible memory when it comes to okay, let me actually think and put in some effort. Colorado, Ohio, Tennessee, so many places in Texas, obviously. Okay, I actually can't remember, and I don't like being put on the spot like this. It's making me a little nervous, but I've just noticed that you guys are here. I noticed that you're here, and I'm glad that you're here, and I would love to talk to you guys more. Maybe leave a little comment, and just tell me your favorite color, or your favorite animal, or, something that you've overcome recently that was a hard truth and was able to get you to a deeper understanding of yourself that you never knew was there, It's like that, or your favorite color, your favorite animal. There's no in between. No. I just want to have a more interpersonal relationship, with the people who are here and who are connecting with me, and, we can create a community with each other, and yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. Let love in, because it's worth it. Thank you guys.